Today I will show you a deck that has been dominating the leaderboards in Illuvium PvP. I was able to reach above 2100 rating, putting me among the best players in Illuvium. In this video I will show you how I did it, how you can do it, all the alluvial and augment choices, and also talking a little bit more in depth about the positioning versus the different kinds of teams that you could face in the Illuvium Arena PvP. At the end of the video I will also show you the one deck that was able to beat me and almost screwed up my dream run up to the top of the leaderboard. So let's not waste any time and jump right in it and see what it's all about. So let's quickly go over all the core units in this team and all the augment choices that I made. First up, we got the 3 water bulwark units. You're gonna play those on the first round. Next up, we got Dualef, usually coming in on round 2. Then for round 3, we have a really nice turn with Goliath and Seaforus. And finally, on round 4, Umber and Kling coming in, giving us 5 bulwarks and also completing our steam, buffing our Dualef even more. We have 2 tech choices in here, which is the Gyro and the Sinalf. Many times, if it's a long game, I will swap out the Kling and the lesser water Grocko and bring in the Gyro and the Sinalf instead. We're still gonna have our 3 water with the Sinalf, and we're gonna give Umber an additional Slayer buff. We're gonna bring the Scion pistols and the daggers both in water because our Dualef and also our Umber are fire dominant. And once we bond with one of them, we're gonna get either a Steam Slayer or a Steam Invoker. Our suit choice is gonna be the Arcane Sash. It's tier 5 and we're gonna bring the stage 3 version of it. We don't need anything else. For augments, we're gonna bring the Biogenic Suppressor, which is a counterplay in most matchups. Those 2 augments go on our Umber and it's gonna boost the damage a lot. They're both stacking up over time, giving you physical damage. One of the most important augment choices is the Parasitic Link. It's gonna give Omnivamp lifesteal to your Umber and also to another unit. A very important tech choice with the augments is also our Siphon Matrix. This will reduce the attack speed of other Umbres and Blaze Knights, and whatever needs attack speed, we can reduce it with this. We're gonna bring all 3 stages of the survival protocol right here. It is such a good augment, especially in this team, giving you so much more time, an extra cast or whatever you need. Our flexible augment choices will be the Neogenic Recombulator right here and also the Vitality Veil. Those are very nice in some niche situations, but they're not really needed for the team. This one I feel like is a little bit more important, Vitality Veil, because it works so good on our invokers. This one right here is mostly there to buff the max HP of the Umber a little bit. If we go for the main carry Umber, we don't want him to get one shot in a CC, so buffing his max HP will be very good for that. So let's now jump into a game so I can explain you a little bit more about positioning and the general game flow. We're versus somebody who has a little bit of a god complex in here, and he's rated above 2000 rating, which is pretty high. So it's gonna be a hard matchup for us. He also plays an Umber deck, the Harbinger Umber, if you have seen that. It's all over the ladder right now, so we're gonna see if we can beat that with our Umber deck. Talking about positioning in the first round, I want to create a safe place for my Dualef around here. And how do we do that? We put 1 tank in the back and 2 tanks in the front. The tanks are kind of positioned, so if the Umber lands somewhere here, it's still gonna attack the tank and not my Dualef. Same thing over here. If there is an enemy, he will attack our Cardo Blue right here and not gonna go to our Dualef. We're also kind of out of range for any AoE abilities, so that's pretty safe for our Dualef to be there. Cardo Blue right here is very strong because when he casts, he taunts enemies. So I wanna have him on the inside. Atlas is supposed to be the main tank because with his shield, he's a little bit more tanky than Cardo Blue. Everybody is attacking Atlas over here from this side. Once Cardo Blue casts his ability, he will actually taunt everybody that's standing here and make them run around to Cardo Blue, which is relieving the stress on Atlas and really helps us to juggle the aggro on our tanks. Our opponent right here is playing an interesting starter with 2 rogues and 3 water, which managed to beat my starter just barely. Now on round 2, we're gonna bring in the Dualef, our main carry. We're gonna bond him with the ranger and also gonna re-equip the Scion weapon on our ranger, so then we get Steam Invoker. Here's a quick look at the enemy team, playing Aegis, Slayer and Harbinger to really buff up that Umber and make him the main carry. Now we can see if our tactic worked out and no assassin will be able to reach our Dualef, and that's exactly the case. Next up we got turn 3, and this is probably the most satisfying one, bringing in the double granite and also giving us 3 invokers with it, coming down to 0 mastery points. We're positioning our Goliath on the outside to catch some rogues, and that's exactly what's gonna happen. And our Seaforus is also one of the tankier invokers, so our Seaforus can defend our Dualef even more. But the rogue opener from our opponent is so strong in the early game, and he is taking round 3, and it's looking worse and worse for us. But don't fret, because this team is built around the late game, and we usually have a big swing in round 4, and that's coming up right now. All the augments have been denied. Now we're gonna have a beautiful turn 4 as well, bringing in the Umber and the Cling, giving us a full board. Many times I want my C4s to get the lifesteal, and I don't have to plan my positioning so much, because in my last turn, when I bring my last units on the board, I got a tank which can hold the lifesteal augments, and I can position it exactly to the other unit that I want to buff with it. Usually it's gonna be Dual F or the C4s, but sometimes also the Gyro. Our opponent did a different strategy. He didn't go for the full board and went to itemize his units. Usually that's a good idea, but for our deck, we're gonna have a way bigger power spike by just bringing in our full board, and we'll see it right here as we are able to turn around the match. Umber right here going hyperactive, casting again with his lifesteal, and our Dual F is luckily targeting him, and we managed to beat him. Next up, round 4, it's time for the augments. We're gonna give stacking physical damage to our Umber. We're also gonna give him survival protocol, giving him 6 seconds of indomitable. So this is really important in the Umber versus Umber mirror match. Also now we're gonna come in with the lifesteal augments, giving lifesteal to our Umber and to our C4s. Our opponent went for a little bit of a reposition. Now we can really see if our tactic works out, and our Dual F will be safe in there. So far our C4s is targeted. Now he's invulnerable because of Granite, and soon he's gonna get a lot of lifesteal with his cast, and that's why we gave lifesteal to our C4s right here. He's gonna be able to survive so long, and even if they come through to our Dual F, we still have the survival protocol, so we should be fine. The enemy Umber right here is going hyperactive, and he is also equipped with different augments. We have Immune right here, which can be really strong against casters, but in this case, in the one-on-one, the Indomitable should be better, because it just gives us this extra time. But there is some weird interactions with the Umber versus Umber duel, and sometimes the cast just goes into nothing. Most of the time it depends which Umber casts first, and then this one is gonna have the advantage. So it's kind of a coin flip in that situation. Now we're gonna bring in the augments on our C4s, because C4s is able to survive quite a long time among those assassins, and we have the minus attack speed augments right here, which is really gonna destroy the damage of the Umber coming in right there. Also, we're gonna put minus energy augments onto our Goliath. Again, Goliath is gonna stay alive for a long time, because if he dies, these augments die with him. So we need these augments on a unit that's gonna stay alive, and that's gonna be our Goliath. And reducing the enemy energy gain is gonna be really strong versus this team. Making Umber cast less times is probably the most important thing after giving him less attack speed. So we countering their main carry, and that's really the advantage that we have over the Harbinger deck with our deck, because we have the Invoker carries on the side. So we cannot be fully countered by countering our Umber. We still have those casters providing so much damage for us. It does look bad though. The Gyro managed to do so much damage, but we still have all our tanks alive, and also our Umber is healthy and going strong. So let's see if this time our Umber can pull ahead, especially with the Indomitable. Now he's gonna be able to cast first, and he's able to kill the Umber. So a big misplay to not put Indomitable on his Umber, and we're gonna punish him for that. Now in the next run, we're actually selling the Cling and the Kara Blue right here to bring in the Gyro and the Synelf. We're keeping the 3 water with the Synelf. We're getting more Invoker stacks with it, and we're gonna bring in the Gyro to also give us Slayer. You always have the option to rebond your Ranger as well to give you another Slayer stack or Invoker stack, whatever you feel like needs the damage boost and is gonna be your main carry. Now we're gonna just place some random augments on the units. The survival protocol is really good on all the casters, giving the ability to cast one more time. And this one I learned is kind of better on the casters as well, so I would next time put it on C4s or on our Dual F, but both of them are fully itemized. Dual F got the 80% resistance penetration, so that's really good on him as well. Here we're going into the next fight. Finally, our enemy brings out the full board with the Aegis, and we're gonna see if that's gonna help him at all. There is a little outplay happening as well here. Look at our Gyro, and their Gyro completely whiffed. So our Gyro being positioned on the outside and forcing the enemy Gyro to roll into nowhere was really, really good as well. Now back to the one-on-one. This is always a nail biter, but Indomitable should be enough. Not this time though. Now probably the most important turn of this match is coming. We're gonna equip the best weapon and the best armor on our ranger, and we're gonna do some repositioning because we wanna get out of this assassin clump up over here. So we're gonna move our dual F and also our ranger and everything to the left side. We're only gonna keep our C4s on the right side to counter those rogues coming in. We are pretty confident in our positioning right here, so we're gonna keep the C4s on the other side and go all in right here. This is the final positioning. We got all our units over there. We still got somebody to catch the rogues if they're coming in the back line, and we don't mind too much the front line right here. Again, our gyro is just better positioned against his gyro. He's rolling into nowhere, ours is rolling into the team. Now we're gonna roll back to finish this off. Our dual F is still looking very healthy. Now there comes a big cast from the Umber, but since we have the Indomitable, we're able to cast after that, and without the Indomitable on the enemy, there's no chance. And there you have it. We kicked out the fake god out of the 2000 rating, and that's why this deck is called the God Slayer. Let's check out the positioning against the mirror matchup. The thing that we just did better here is our dual F and ranger positioning. Because our ranger is the furthest unit, the enemy dual F is gonna target him, and our dual F is gonna be safe. Here we can see it very nicely. Their dual F is targeting our ranger, and ours is targeting their dual F, so we win this matchup. So always make sure when you play versus, for example, Blaze Knight or dual F, which target the furthest enemy. Also the Kling line with the Gnarl, the whole sloth line targets the furthest enemy. So versus all those units, you want to make sure you have it planned out, and in this case have your ranger at the furthest point. And if you position on the line here on the right side, the next, after our ranger is dead, the next furthest unit will be the Sephoros and then the dual F. So we really have a lot of protection for our dual F, which is the main carry. In the next wave, our opponent chooses to play some augments, and we're choosing to play our Illuvials. And the problem is, maybe it would have worked out if he really chose the most important augments for his carries, but there's just some random augments in there that he doesn't really need. So either you want to go for the full board, especially with my build, or you want to at least go for the very important augments on our Umber, on our dual F, and that way itemize your main carries or just go for the full board, because this works really well with this team up. From here on, it's pretty much the same. We put our most important augments on our carries, in this case the Umber, and the rest is history. We are having a clean swipe here. Bada bing, bada bow. Here we got a match versus the Comedian, a super good player, and he likes to theory craft his own decks. And here we can see his Toxic Nature Verdant deck. Really nice deck, but not really good against us. We counter it pretty hard, and that's where we're just sweeping over it after, of course, losing the 2 first rounds versus the Toxic starter, which is probably one of the best starters in the game. Here we can see the match after which I finally reached 2100 rating. He's playing a very interesting deck, but it doesn't work against us as we counter this pretty hard with our late game damage scalability. So there you have it, clean 4-0 sweep into the 2100, super stoked on that. I told myself to stop playing at this point, but I kept playing and something really bad happened. We got matched up versus Web3 Gaming TV, and he's been cooking up a deck that is absolutely crazy. I don't know if it works against other teams, but versus my teams it was so strong. Basically it's just a bunch of Colossus and Verdant and Toxic with one dual F in the back line, and he's gonna bond this dual F with his ranger, and that's his only damage. So basically he still has this scaling damage from the dual F, but the rest of it is just built around being the biggest, most tankiest MFers in the game, and that kind of screwed me up. So let's have a look. We both obviously go for Steam, so all the augments are getting denied. Pretty much a basic round 1 start. We're gonna do a little bit of different positioning right here, as the enemy has no rogues, so we don't need to put somebody in the very back. First round obviously is a lose versus the Toxic and double Colossus. Round 2, usually we're able to swing it back in our favor with the dual F, usually able to burst through the tanks. Let's see how it works out. We're not quite able to win round 2, but we were able to kill all of the units except one, so this is really good for us. We're not losing too many HP right now. Next turn, he's bringing in more tanks, I'm bringing in more damage, but also our Goliath, so we have a little bit more sustain, and we hope that we can actually scale up our Omega power with that Steam, with that Invoker, to take out this round and win this round finally. Huge cast from the dual F coming through right here, killing off his Riptorus and also his Ranger, giving us the advantage in this round. So finally we were able to secure a round, and now we want to build on it. But now he brought in his dual F, so he has now the damage on his side, and here you can really see what the problem of this matchup was. My main carries, or at least the dual F, were the furthest unit from the Gnarl right here. And as you can see, we're getting rooted, we're getting knocked up so many times. So we lost this round, and I really gotta do some casual matches against this team to really find out if this is the Umber beater, because I think just my bad positioning made us lose this round. You can see it very well here. Again, our dual F is getting rooted, is getting stunned, and this Null is casting so many times. So our dual F, like half of the time, he's just stunned. He doesn't get stunned out of his cast right here, but just the time that he's not able to do anything really takes away a lot. And yeah, by now we don't have any units left. He still has all of his tanks left and his damage dealers in the backline. So he's taking the next round, and now we got one more life to come back in the next round. Let's see if we can manage to do it. So what we needed to do right here is put 2 units as the furthest units that we don't care so much about. For example, C4us and our Ranger. So whoever is our main carry cannot stand in the very back. So those 2 units should go alone here, and then our dual F has to be away from them, because this has a really big impact radius. So the way we're positioned here is almost alright if the dual F wouldn't be next to them. So now all our 3 invokers are getting stunned, which is just really bad. Another thing we could have done is, instead of this Indomitable, which we don't really need against this team, we could have put on 2 times the damage stacking augment and really tried to make Umber our main carry, also making our Ranger a Slayer, or at least position the dual F better, but this went very bad in this turn. So here we can see it. Our dual F is not getting targeted by it, but he's still getting stunned by it. So this was a big misplay on my side. Also, the Titanor stun is hitting them pretty good. So overall, my positioning for my backline carries was really bad, and that's what I think lost the round. But maybe this deck is also a counter to the Umber. And there you have it. I should have stopped playing because he took me down. I lost 50 points and I'm back to the 2000 rating. Luckily for me, we find another top rated player, Patat right here, also in the high 2000s. And we are battling it out with him. And I swore to myself, if I get back to 2100, I'm gonna stop, because it was like 2 AM in the morning and I was just grinding the hell out of it. Luckily for us, Patat is playing an empath team, and we can usually counter that in the very late game with our triple invoker Sinelf, just blasting them down with some lasers. But actually in this round, I think we went a little bit more aggressive on our Umber and tried to finish it out early. Easy round 1 versus the Blaze Knight. I was surprised why he didn't bring in a lot of small empaths, which is usually a really good turn. For our positioning, want to have our Ranger as the furthest unit, taking that Blaze Knight Whirlwind, and that's really the key to winning this matchup. As long as your dual F does not get stunned by that Blaze Knight cast right here, you should be able to win this. So it's a little bit of a positioning skill matchup, I feel like. On to the next round. Again, we try to have 2 units as the furthest units away from the dual F. We're able to have a clean sweep on round 3 as well. So we're gonna move on to round 4. And I don't think the legendary augments will matter. We're just gonna bring in our full board. Mind you, we haven't played any augments yet, but this is the 4th round and we are looking good. Really nice positioning here from Patat. We're basically wasting our first dual F laser, but then again, Fernet is kind of a valuable unit, so it's not the biggest problem for us. This is a really good counter to the dual F to put all the Indomitable augments on the units that dual F will cast his laser on, and that's really gonna stop him from going 1, 2, 3 kill on the dual F, right? Beautiful cinematic, there we go. Luckily we got back up, and luckily I was able to stop playing after this round. I'm gonna keep playing again today, but I called it a night there and I was super happy. My first 2100 reach. I don't think there's too many players there. Actually, I'm queuing right again. What are you doing, man? Stop it. We said we're stopping. Am I playing really another round? I forgot about that. Oh yeah, we're playing another round, and it is a full-on mirror match versus a good player Storming right here, which is pretty scary because he's like at 1800, and a mirror match, you can easily lose that, right? There is just little nuances that you have to do right, and they can go easily wrong. So it's a bit scary because we could lose like 200 rating here in this mirror matchup. He's playing the air dominant gyro right here. He's going hyperactive so fast versus all the waters, and he also plays a cling right here. And he was easily able to sweep me in round 2, and it's getting a little bit scary at that point. But we're just doing our thing, playing our units, and that's what I like about this team. I really was able to almost play the exact same setup every time, and then I can really focus on my positioning. So what we're doing here with positioning, we have our Ranger again at the furthest point. The gyro will land here. And then he's gonna roll over to a ranger, which doesn't have a good weapon or anything yet, so he's pretty much useless. It's just a affinity bot at this point. And now we're really disabling gyro with just this little positioning trick. And then also our dual F is gonna target the gyro because it's the furthest unit, so we got that out of the way. Now our dual F is a little bit in trouble, but our C4 should be able to actually clean up the rest of the fight. Dual F is gonna be able to cast one more time and actually gonna be able to take them all down with the assistance of the Goliath stun. Huge. We're bringing in our Umbre plus our Kling right here. Kling is positioned next to the Dual F and the Umbre, so we can buff them both with lifesteal, because we want to have lifesteal on our Dual F in this round, because we don't want him to be in this much trouble again, and next time he can just heal against the damage that he's getting in the front line here. As good as his choices was to bring in the gyro against the mirror matchup, as bad was his positioning. He should have positioned his gyro right here, because then he's gonna land here and his first roll is gonna be into all our units. But we're able to take round 4, and now there's a beautiful X going on. We're gonna bring in our little drone right here, spam an emote. By the way, if you want to move your drone, hold control and then right click. And if you want to do the emote, just click on the drone. So now we're gonna bring in our augments, at which point we feel pretty confident in our ability to win next round, bringing in all our needed augments on our carries. And there we go. He still hasn't repositioned his gyro, so the first roll is pretty much useless, and then Dual F is probably gonna focus him down. Umber is indomitable, so he's gonna win the one-on-one for sure at the end. Really important to put this augment on your Umber when you're having to play against another Umber. And there we go. Actually, he's still alive, but at this point we are just rolling him. Slapping all those augments on, gyro still rolling into nowhere. He actually positioned his ranger very well, baiting out our Goliath Omega and also our Dual F Omega, and also his Umber now has the indomitable augment. But all in all, our positioning wins the fight and secures us this win, and now I'm really finally ready for bed, because this was way too close for comfort. And here at the end we have a little bit of a leak. Illuvidata.gg has opened up their team builder, and there I built my team, and also a lot of other people already built teams, so you can go in there, check it out. I also put some extra information for it, like positioning and everything. Nothing that we didn't cover in this video, but if you need a refresher on how to play the team, but you don't want to rewatch the whole video, you can just check out the guide right here. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope this helped you. If you like this type of content, please engage with the video, like, share, comment, do whatever you have to do to push this video. That's the only thing I need. You're gonna need more content. It's coming up, so catch you in the next one. Peace out.